I'm Tonya Khoury, and this is this week's Acumen Media Report. It's entitled, Our Absent President and Shark-Infested Waters. I was diving with sharks. Many people think this is nuts. It isn't, as long as you dive with a real expert. The analogy is deep. This country is in dire need of an expert in these shark-infested waters. We need to adjust quickly, as this is not our territory, it's theirs. I wouldn't suggest we do it with an absent president. I'm Tonya Khoury. This is Scratch the Surface, so make sure you have enough air in your tank, as it's a bit dark in the muddy media waters. Thabo Bester. What do you make of this story? I'm confused about so many things. Firstly, why is it a story? People escape from prison all the time, and we've never seen 1.4 million rand spent on jet trips to make sure they are brought to justice. A personal friend, the man who taught me to dive actually, was shot and killed in a botched armed robbery. His murderer and accomplices escaped several times, and I promise you, it never made mainstream media. Why not? Why did the world stop for Thabo Bester? I'll tell you why. Because experts got involved. A set of journalists from Ground Up Media made some serious noise about a story that defies belief. Honestly, I have a bit of Bester fatigue. So here's the short story. This murderer and rapist escaped from prison and left South Africa with his partner in crime, Dr. Nandi. We heard all gory stories about how Nandi bought dead bodies on a regular basis, and that didn't seem to surprise anyone in the legal system. Apparently that happens. Often. These two fugitives from the law were found in Tanzania, so we sent a jet and picked them up and plonked them in front of the cameras, and then the court process kicked in. South Africa gobbled it up, and like sharks on a sardine run, we consumed this narrative with primal hunger. There's only one good thing that came out of this story. Are you ready? Glynis Breitenbach. How much do we love this expert? My word, what on earth are the DA doing? They should have put my Glynis right in front of the party, and I promise you South Africa would have had its first female president ages ago. Madam Breitenbach slaughtered Becky Cele and G4S, the prison service tasked to move Bester around.
Just say two things to you. One, please don't lecture me on what the police do and don't do. I know what they do, I know what they don't do. I did it for years.
She unlocked her jaw and created carnage like a bull shark with a vendetta. She was incredible. I think I speak for the whole country when I say, we want Glynis. She's the one, the expert to lead us through this poor visibility, through this darkness where you can't see what's in front of you, deep down in the twisted waters. What we don't want is an absent president. When there's a massive story like this, you have to consider what other news dropped while you were not watching. There is a saying in PR circles, never waste a good crisis. In other words, drop your bad news when the sharks are circling elsewhere. While the whole country is focused on Bester, we were also told that the Guptas got off scot-free. If you are wondering, as was I, where the term scot-free originated, well, allow me to help you out. It's an old Norse word, scot, and an old French word, escot, combined, that was used during medieval times when towns levied taxes in proportional shares for things like a poor fund. The tax was called scot, and if somebody who wriggled out of paying it was thought to have got off scot-free. How apt? Scot-free and absent. A South African story. But back to the Guptas. The UAE refused to extradite the Guptas. That means they are completely unaccountable, untouchable, and unfazed, a bit like our electricity. This was announced in the same week that the leader of the UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed, landed in Bisho in the Eastern Cape. Why in Bisho? He owns a grain farm there, allegedly. He shipped in his sofas, filled with dollars, and tables, including his medical fraternity, and even built his own runway for the planes to land. How gross, eh? Here we sit looted, and a man from the other end of the planet makes decisions on our state captors. So basically, apart from a very sick greasy, The Zondo Commission was useless. Zuma and the Guptas and even the harbourer of the top criminals are having a jail here in South Africa and abroad. What a joke. You keep your eye on Thabo Bester though. Never waste a good crisis. There was a bunch of other stories you missed. They were all swimming below you, but you couldn't see for the Bester Chronicles. We'll get to those in a moment, but first one big issue that we will not be distracted from, and that is our useless electricity facility, Eskom. Eskom, the dinosaur that should be extinct. The megalodon with jaws so big that it will never tire of eating, moved us to stage 8 and no one mentioned the thing. Are we too scared? Too scared that this is so real we may not recover from it? I read somewhere that a country doesn't degenerate on a certain date. It takes time, a long time. Ain't that the truth? What was a slow spiral into darkness has now moved faster than that 1.4 million rand jet ride as we scramble like sardines, huddled together, trying not to look like fodder. And where is our fearless leader? Absent. Dear Mr. President, where are you? At least Trump showed us, Trump if you like, showed us his disdain by appearing on a golf course. But you're completely AWOL. A bit like Marcus Joosten, who just didn't turn up in the German court. Are you noticing a trend here, guys? Because we are. Okay, back to Eskom. This week we heard that the president wants nothing to do with De Ruyter's allegations of Eskom's mafia, and he said that De Ruyter must go to the cops. A classic, not my job move. The one thing Cupcake did do exceptionally well was bring back a truckload of cash from his world tour. May I ask, who on earth is giving us money? Are they stupid or are they complicit? Remember I said never waste a good crisis? Well, the post office went bust. I know they were broke a long time ago, but again, this is a slow journey to nothing. Putin is on his way to SA. I wonder if he'll build a red carpet runway too. A new SABC board was appointed after months of the organisation running without a leader. To be fair, the SABC team did a pretty good job while it was rudderless. Perhaps they should have saved themselves a fortune and their dignity and pressed on. Then to add to the mix is SA Tourism. Their board is to be dissolved after Lindiwe Madusa Sisulu was spurred out of the building. Spurred, get it? There was an electoral amendment bill that basically says you can vote for an individual over a party. I like that. Did you hear that, Glynis? Glynis, are you there? Please save us. This while Jumping John Steenhuisen is talking about moon pacts and moon shots, another set of phrases to add to our political dictionary. Basically, it's just joining coalition waters and swimming with all the sharks at once until you are the apex predator. That's the plan, folks. More coalitions, more fight for territory. It is wrong to compare this lot of scavengers to sharks. Sharks are smart. They only want their prey, and they're not interested in chomping divers. There is no collateral damage with sharks, unlike politicians. Oh, I almost forgot. BEE restrictions have been dropped on companies that have under 50 employees. That went straight past you, right? Even me, I had to read the article twice to make sure it was true. There's more. If you're feeling seasick, just watch the horizon. Not for a new dawn, but so that you can breathe. Zuma was back in court and Dali filibustering Mpofu was thrilled with yet another postponement. I spoke to a 40-year-old friend of mine who said to me, that case has been going on half my life. And that wasn't an exaggeration. Yet we can arrest Thabo Bester with a jet in seconds. Madam Boosie, the subject of our midweek feature, Scrubbing the Red Carpet, you better check that out, has had a pause in proceedings, so nothing new to see here. Keep scrolling. I'm watching it for you. And here's what has been swept under the rug. What's happening to the Senzo trial? Yeah, you forgot, eh? That was deliberate. My words have run out and there is still so much to cover, so let's start our ascent slowly to the surface. Duduzane Zuma launched his presidential campaign. Rosemary Ndlovu, the serial killer cop, saw her chummy and accomplice in court this week as the accomplice was nabbed for trying to get her husband killed for a little over R1 million insurance payback. The JSC interviews are back and they make boring viewing, but you can skip those two because I've got your back. Rise Mzansi is a new political party. Derek Hanekom is now sitting at the helm of bankrupt, not so bankrupt SAA. That basically means he's on his way out. I don't blame him. He's a good man. He should join forces with civil society. That would be much better. Talking of civil society and good people, though, the Katrina Foundation and Outer have joined hands. Now we're talking. Two brilliant organizations that will definitely be stronger together. Make sure to bring great investigative journalists. It's only due to them and to the social media community that we find the truth behind this pot of lies. If you haven't watched Al Jazeera's Gold Mafia documentary, please do. You'll feel better about our country. It's not just us. The whole world is corrupt, crooked, and off-kilter. A few more stories and I'm out. I can't believe I'm writing about this, but there is an energy drink called Prime that is selling for over 500 Rand a bottle. It's nothing more than a competitor to, say, the likes of Monster or Red Bull, except for this bit: marketing. The same drink is selling in the USA for a couple of dollars, but here in SA, preposterous things are standard. Look out for a free tasting at the next red carpet runway event. It's a prime time to run. Run away. Across the stormy waters, Sudan has descended into chaos as two generals collide. The Dalai Lama, how gross. How is he allowed to get away with what he did to that child in full view of cameras? In case you missed it, and I doubt you did, the Lama, after kissing a child on his forehead and then full on the lips, asked the boy to suck his tongue. I don't make this stuff up. The spin began as we were told that this is an ancient Tibetan custom for a grandparent to their grandchild when kids ask for sweets. For those of you who still think what he did was okay, please remember he is not the grandfather to that boy, nor did the boy ask for sweets, and that custom didn't exist until we read it now online a week ago. Hiding in plain sight. Predators. A bit like Ackerman, the head of a paedophile ring in South Africa, who told journalists that he has done nothing wrong. Finally, I'm on my surface stop. Mr. Absent President, tomorrow is likely to be Eid in South Africa. Please can we have electricities to celebrate the end of a month of fasting, good deeds and charity? I bet Mohammed bin Zayed brought his own electricity. Sharing is caring, Sheikh. I'm Tonya Khoury. You've scratched the surface, descended to depth, and resurfaced with Acumen Media.